Sometimes when we have a math class and you learn something, you kind of think to yourself, well, why didn't we learn this in the first place? Why have we done all those other methods? This might be kind of like that. The quadratic formula is the easiest way to solve a quadratic equation. And we've already done three methods. We've done factoring, we've done perfect squares, and we've done completing the square. The quadratic formula works for every situation. Okay? The problem is it becomes a little bit cumbersome if you're always using it. And I would recommend that you don't always use it. Good math students are able to use the quadratic formula only in emergencies. I have grade 12s that are taking equations right now using trigonometry, and the quadratic formula shows up like 1 out of 100 problems. Most of the time it's factoring. So don't think that, oh, I'm just going to use quadratic formula for the rest of my life. It's a strategy, but it's not the best strategy. Okay, but it is good if you're stuck and you don't know what to do. So where does the quadratic formula come from? Well, you can take a look in your textbook where it's generated from, but basically if we would complete the square without numbers and just use A, B, and C, you would get this formula. This formula is on your formula sheet. You don't have to memorize it. You just have to know how to use it. Okay, if you're interested in seeing where it's generated from, it's on page 213. Okay, so take a look at this question. It says to use a quadratic formula, so let's write it out. X is negative b plus or minus b squared minus 4ac 2a. I think you're going to have it memorized, but use your formula sheet for now. I always find it interesting that on tests, sometimes people use the wrong quadratic formula. To me, that tells me that they haven't done any practice. They haven't been doing their homework. They don't have a clue what the formula is because they haven't used it. Okay, I think if you use it enough, you will have it memorized. So, before we plug things in, let's quickly figure out what is A, what is B, what is C. A is 1, B is 2, C is 7. So, you get negative 2 plus or minus the square root of 2 squared minus 4 times 1 times 7 all over 2 times 1. Okay, so that's negative 2 plus or minus, this is 4 take away 28, so you have the root of negative 28 over 2. What does this tell you? This tells you that you have no roots, no real roots. Okay, we can't have a negative square root, so this tells me there is no solution. Okay, let's try another one. So again, we'll have x is negative b plus or minus the root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. A is 1, b is negative 2, c is negative 7. So you're going to get negative 2. We'll have negative 2 squared minus 4 times a times c over 2 times 1. So this is 2 plus or minus, this is 4 plus 28, so 32 over 2. And I am going to be very picky with the quadratic formula. You must simplify fully. So you can have 2 plus or minus, this is root 16, root 2 over 2. So this is going to be 2 plus or minus 4 root 2 over 2. And 2 can be divided into both of those terms, so you're going to get 1 plus or minus 2 root 2. Those are my two answers. Okay, and with the quadratic formula, I expect fully simplified. Okay, this one's a little trickier because A, B, and C are not immediately apparent, so we have to collect like terms here and put it all together. So let's multiply 2x squared minus 2x plus x minus 1 equals 5x. Putting this all on one side of the equation, you're going to get this. Now you can see what A is, you can see what B is, you can see what C is. So x is negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c over 2 times a. I think it's probably better for you to write the formula out first until you know it well. Otherwise, I think you're going to make a mistake. Okay, so this is 36 plus 8, so 44 over 4. So this is x equals 6 plus or minus 2 root 11 over 4. There's a common factor of 2 there, so I have 3 plus or minus root 11 over 2. Those are the two answers. Okay, let's try this one. Again, I see the fraction, and my opinion is we should get rid of the fraction. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to bring everything onto one side of the equation. Now, how do I get rid of those fractions? Well, you need common denominators, so let's change a half to 2/4. And then let's multiply everything by 4. This will give me 2x squared minus, oops, not minus 20, minus 5x minus 12 equals 0. Remember, when you have the equation with a 0 on one side, you can multiply and that right side will still be 0. It makes it really nice. Now, if you remember the first lesson of this unit, we tried to multiply by 4 and then we also divided by 4 to compensate, because those were not equations. Those were expressions. When you have an equation, you don't have to compensate for multiplying by 4. You can just multiply by 4. Okay, so a is 2, b is negative 5, c is negative 12. So negative b plus or minus the square root of negative 5 squared minus 4 times a, which is 2, times c, which is negative 12, over 2 times 2. So this is 5 plus or minus 25 plus 96. This is 121. So you have 5 plus or minus 11 over 4. Now, you can't leave that. What is 5 plus 11 over 4? That's 4. What is 5 minus 11 over 4? That's negative 6 over 4, or negative 3 over 2. Okay, so there's quadratic formula. Go ahead and try a few of those.